Welcome to the Horse Conversation podcast. In this podcast, we're going to have conversations about our relationship with horses and how we can form a kind understanding to be the change in the equestrian world. My name is Carolina and I am your host and the creator behind Horse Conversations. I have broad hands-on experiences from all around Europe, and I'm also studied in psychology and equine behavior. But this project really comes from the heart, and I hope that you enjoy these conversations at least as much as I do. Welcome to the second episode from the Horse Conversation podcast. In this episode, I want to start with a topic, and this topic is going to be: what does a horse need to trust? When we talk about horse training and you're on the kind side of horse trainers, we often talk about trust. We want our horses to trust us and we want to trust our horses. But what does it actually mean to trust, and how much trust can we expect from a horse, and how does it look like when a horse trusts you? So trust has a lot to do with safety. When we work with horses, we of course work with giant animals that weigh like half a ton, and it's important that we feel safe next to them. And when you work with horses, you soon realize that this safety also comes from the horse that trusts the human, because a horse that feels trust is more safe. It won't lash out, it won't rear or buck or bite or do anything that could cause harm to humans, because it trusts the human and the environment it is in. But how can we help a horse to gain trust around human and the humanized world they live in? For us, trust is about safety, so for horses, trust is about safety too. A horse needs to feel safe, and they feel the safest when their natural needs are met. So in the natural environment of a horse, they live with other horses, they live in a herd with a lot of members. They know it's often family, and they trust these members. And they do so not because they had some kind of contract or they made an assessment of, hey, how are you and what are you doing in life, and let's see. This is really more about knowing each other very well, being able to read body language, but also to express oneself in body language. It's about making the right decision when it comes to resources and safety. So they kind of assess each other in every circumstance, more in the quality and ability to being able to save the herd and save oneself. What we therefore can do for a horse to help trust us and the environment the horse is in is, first of all, care for the needs of the horse and to have the resources available. So the horse needs to be free of hunger and thirst and pain and fear, of course. So the environment should be so well designed that the horse can let go of any fight or flight modus and can just fulfill its own needs, so it is balanced in the first place. And when it goes to engage with a human, we of course do not trigger any of these states, so we do not trigger fear or pain or whatever. This is easily said with horses that are a blank page. But in reality, most horses aren't. So we often encounter horses that already had their experiences and maybe are a little bit disturbed in their trust towards humans. And what we can do is still the same. Try to not trigger any more of fear or the feeling of unsafety with them, but try to always be the one person that guarantees the presence of resources and that guides the horses through potentially fearful situations without adding more stressors or triggers. and trying to avoid any other situations that are stressful. For example, when I got my horse Soleado, he comes from Spain and he has made a journey from Spain to the Netherlands, and he has met a lot of people and a lot of circumstances that probably weren't always calm and easy. So when he came to me, he was not that trustful of people in general, not of any objects that people can hold. So what I did to help him trust me, there's some ingredients that all horses can help. And first of all, it's time, to give the horse time. And that is not only, it takes a few weeks before a horse gets used to you, but it's also the time at this very moment. If you want to lead your horse somewhere and it stops to look around, give him time to process everything. And so they can find the trust in themselves and the trust in you to take a step further. The second ingredient is to be calm and authentic yourself. So when the horse looks at you and checks you out for body language and your emotional state, they want to see a congruent human, someone who is in tune with itself, who has both feet on the ground. It doesn't mean you cannot feel any emotions or you cannot feel fear or anything. It really means that you are aware of your own feelings and that you are authentic with your expressions, and not that you're trying to hide something or trying to please someone, or, you're more in your head busy with your schedule or with problems at home or what others at the stable might think of you. So if you can leave that behind and be your true self and be authentic, then you can create space and room for trust. The last ingredient, if the first two are established already, and I would give this a few weeks if you have a new horse, but the next step is also important, to make space to grow. So it doesn't help if you keep your horse in bubble wraps and in a cotton candy world where everything's fine and you never encounter anything stressful or fearful, because eventually you will in this world. So to establish methods and ideas how to deal with stress, you can start doing this in a training setting, maybe in an arena where you both feel comfortable already. So you can start working on trying to regulate the emotional state, and what do we do when we are stressed, when we are triggered, when there's something happening. And you can first practice this so your nervous system and your autonomic system gets used to it. What do we do? And then you can go, and when you feel ready, to actively choose situations where you can test this methods you used, but also test your relationship and test your bond. Of course, never so much that it could break. You should never encounter something that breaks your trust, so always retreat before that. But if you feel ready, you can go outside. You can test with plastic tarps or anything to see how your horse will react on it, if they will trust you to never go above threshold. And if you really never go there, you will certainly see the trust increase every time. So whether or not you have a new horse or your horse has bad experiences from the past, I would recommend to go through these 3 ingredients every single time you meet a new horse or you want to establish a better bond with your horse. Give it time, be authentic, and make space to grow. If you want to comment, what does trust in horses look to you, or where you might struggle with the topic of trust with your horse, I'm happy to read about it and respond in the next episode. And any other feedback or suggestions are always welcome. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.